all our neuroses, all the conditioning that's happening on the surface, whether it's addiction or compulsion or aggression or acting out, that's all the sort of coarse layer of the onion. But at the center of the onion, what is really impacting us as human beings, what's preventing us from really moving on, what's stopping our full progression, our inability to fully own our life and to be happy, right at the center of it is a distorted self-image. It's a distorted self-image that grew out of the context of attachment in early childhood. And the visualization system is a way of reparenting. So you can imagine in the deep winter thaw of the trauma of childhood, the deep winter chill of childhood that was painful and consistently difficult and challenging, what happened is an arrest in development. The self that was progressing along the way had all the potentials to grow into a loving, capable, optimal human being, was impacted and interrupted, and the development of a human being was arrested. And I can sort of see, you can imagine that like a frozen in time, the self got crystallized and frozen in time around a sense of inadequacy, a sense of alienation, a sense of mistrust, a sense of incapability. How can you go on with your life trying to have successful relationships, navigate your business, and live in a crazy world when that's your fundamental self-image? And I don't care how many Gucci Prada bags, I don't care how many boob jobs, I don't care how many Botox uplifts, and I don't care how many trips to the Bahamas. If that's your fundamental self-image, it's just going to be really, really difficult to live life. So how do you then take this ancient Tibetan crazy visual lights gleaming and deity thing into and make it actually coherent to us? Well, you really actually need that, otherwise we'll be like so averse and poisonous to it, because many of us also not only got traumatized by our childhood and our family systems, but by religious institutions as well. So you have to kind of like get a warming up back to the spiritual tradition when it involves deities and lights and visual and imagination and returning back to a part of our childhood that was so precarious and challenging. You have to have a kind of warming up. Well, the warming up is a rationale. If I provide you with a coherent enough rationale, all the defensive armoring and mechanisms that are supposedly designed to keep you safe will loosen up so that you might actually consider this as a potential way of moving forward. In that last semester, when you recognize that what you are is a traumatized, frozen self, a sense of self, what we did was we invited in a mentor being in our visualization, someone who inspires us through imagination. And what happens in the context of that bonding process, a very technical 7-step bonding process, what happens is that you revisit childhood and you continue the journey of evolution and development that was already interrupted or arrested in childhood. So it's like many of us can't really return to childhood in the ordinary sense, right? Either parents are dead, or we've moved on, or it's just an impossibility, or people are too rigid and stuck, and there's no movement in sort of so-called external reality. But in a visualization, it is possible to go to the very fundamental frequency of fear and transform it into love, and go right to the frozen self-image and begin to tinker, loosen, rebuild, reprogram the self-image from the inside out. That's a completely possible thing, and it's explained in the last course. This course now takes that as a stepping stone and suggests that it's not just self-image that we're trying to work with, but it's actually a whole narrative of life. Right now, whether you like it or not, your life is being framed by a story that you're telling yourself about who you are, where you are, what's down the road for you. You're already an author of your life. You just probably don't know it. You probably, if you're anything like me, feel like you're just moving along space and time and things is happening to you. But if you slow it down, and we'll try to slow it down, we'll try to understand the mechanisms from this contemplative science point of view, what's actually happening is there's a prefab narrative, a kind of baseline music that's playing, a film that's already been charted that you're living according to in a very subtle, insidious way. Don't raise your hand, but do you ever feel like you're in a revolving door meeting the same people, the same experiences over and over and over again? The actors and the furniture change, but the experience is fundamentally the same. That's because you're living your traumatic life narrative. It's not just your self-esteem. It's the entire story you've been telling yourself about who you are, what's possible for you, why people do what they do. And you just get a little older, a few more pounds, a few more wrinkles, but the same keeps happening. We can put an end to that. Not by calling on a God to fall out of the sky with a big rainbow, but really understanding the science of where does the operation system and the manual exist? Where has the program that's compelling us, where is it situated in the psyche? I'm starting to call this the black box in therapy. I sit down with my clients and we start going through all the sort of the MO, the modus operandi of how the dictates, the manual that we learned in childhood that are contributing and compelling and forcing us through our adult lives. And that black box is in the middle of some ocean, deep ocean. And it's emitting a signal with all the data of childhood collected in it. And it remains impossible to find at the surface. But through a dialogue, through first a safe environment where the noise and the chatter can decrease, and the focal awareness of your tension, like a microscope, can be placed in the optimal position, and you can put on your mask and your oxygen, you can go deep into the psyche, and you can find the black box, and you can unpack what you've learned in the program that you've been following, and you can begin to recode it. And that is what a visualization essentially does.